Hey there, Cheesemeisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod. That would have been nothing. There was no music in this episode. Void, just the sound of waves crashing, and Steve disappointing women, and Jim stomping and being angry. That was the music of the episode. I am Jeff. Studmania out of control. And joining me on the other end of the internet, my cuz-host.
I'm Leslie, and I've already been to Europe 3 times. I don't need to be sent away to find myself.
That's right. Find yourself in the maternity ward, Kelly. That's where everybody finds themselves. That's where we find ourselves at the start of this episode. That's a professional transition. Boom, boom, boom. Fucking them up over here. Yeah. All right. So this week, Cheesemeisters, we are discussing Season 3, Episode 2, The Twins, The Trustee, and The Very Big Trip. Original air date, July 22nd, 1992. Happy 20th anniversary to my parents, 22 years ago. Full disclosure, folks, we had some shit going on when we tried to record this episode. The internet did not appreciate our nonsense, and so we have restarted. It was already going 17 different weird directions. Guys, I talked about Khrushchev. It may happen again. I don't know. But here we are. We're starting again on this episode that I was ready for. And I was ready for you to watch it because I had a feeling you'd have some problems. The things that happened in this episode.
I yelled.
Well, you texted me, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun. This so far exceeds my expectations."
I punched pillows. I was
nice.
furious at this episode.
So, here's the thing that made me happiest was, and I want to hear about your anger, was when you texted me in the middle of the episode, if they send her to Paris, I'm going to vomit bricks. And that was like halfway through the episode, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait till she sees that she's right.
Yeah, it really hurt coming out.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right. So, this is the episode where Steve tries to pull the old switcheroo on a pair of twins. And the Jim versus Brenda loggerheads. Comes to loggerheads? I don't know. Let's ignore the word loggerheads.
Yeah.
The Jim and Brenda situation comes to a horrible climax where they just decide to bribe her with a trip to France. Because the credit card from last episode wasn't enough, and the membership at the beach club wasn't enough, and the nothing else that they've tried wasn't enough. The only way to solve this was by just sending this child to a foreign country as a reward.
Like they used to do.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's very old-fashioned of Jim to just pack his daughter up and send her across the pond. Is Paris across the pond? I know London is across the pond, and I understand it's the same pond, but like no one says when they go to Belarus, I'm going across the pond, right?
I think it's for France specifically, it would be across a few ponds because you have to go across the English Channel.
Well, yeah, unless you fly directly into Paris, I suppose.
I guess so.
I mean, they didn't swim, as far as I know. They haven't gotten there yet. Maybe there's swimming in their future. All right, so tell me how pissed off you are at Jim Walsh.
This put him in such an ugly light. Like,
yeah.
On the one end, I'm an empathetic person. I understand why he's frustrated. But on the other hand, we have evidence, buddy. You haven't tried to do much. All you've done is what you know to do, which is just, I'm the man of the house, and I'm supposed to keep everyone in line. And if I can't yell about it, I'm going to yell at everyone except my son. And I'll ask his advice, but no one else's advice. Because he's a man. He's a child.
That's right. Man-child.
So, well, then I'm going to do it the LA way and get even and blackmail a kid. Yes, he's 18, but he's still a kid, damn it. Can't even
Yeah.
legally drink. Good God, Jim. Like, have you never heard of fight someone or pick on someone your own size?
Not Jim, no. All right, so let's stay with Jim, right? Let's stay with the fucking Jim Walsh of the whole thing.
If you insist.
I feel like we need to. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do here. So Jim is like, we go from David, filming Aaron, and Kelly being all confused about what this child is. Like, calls the baby it like 5 times. Thinks the only way you can tell it's a girl is because he's wearing pink. David points out that the child probably has a vagina, and Kelly finds that really bothersome for some reason. Yeah, well, you're so gross. It's not gross. It's a cooter. It's fine.
Already shaming Aaron for her genitalia.
Yes, but saying she's gorgeous because that's all that matters when you're talking about girls.
Yep.
Until they become teenagers, and then they're spoiled brats. She's out of control. And that's, remember when I told you that I thought of something else that this episode was about that we hadn't even talked about yet? Here it is. This episode is about control.
Yeah.
It's about control all over the place. And we'll talk about the twins in a little bit, but even then, Steve is like trying to pull the switcheroo, and Brandon says, it's customary in America for women to have some say in who they go out with, is it not?
Uh-huh.
And then Steve says, fine, she's yours, you go out with her. What? That's not Steve trying to control who these twins get to date. And Jim shouting about how Brenda is out of control. And Cindy saying, no, she's in total control. She's been in control since you started this shit, you dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
When you said you felt like people wanted to, like they wanted to curse really bad, I felt like Cindy wanted to call him a dumbass like 6 times in the middle of that conversation.
Oh, she wanted to call him a dumbass. Rory wanted to call Steve a dumbass. Like,
you guy.
I know. I was like, oh, honey, I felt that. Yeah. This episode gave me so many, I sensed so many themes of like questioning gender roles in this. And then also which is why I came to the conclusion of like, do you stay with what you know, or do you work through all the trials and errors of being in the modern era?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I say working through the trials and errors of it is because I think, for one example, Brenda, even though she is making some terrible decisions, is no less doing something that a modern woman would do. She's choosing to go live with her man, living in sin, as they say. She's making choices for herself, even though I didn't like, but I also understand falling into the gender role of like, I want to keep this place clean. I want to take care of you. Like, unfortunately, a lot of that is so ingrained in us. You could tell Dylan wasn't really about it or didn't really care, and yet at the same time, like, you put someone in that habit long enough, they'll get used to it. But yeah, like, I really felt like, not so much that Brenda was torn. She felt very comfortable with the choices she was making, if not, some discomfort. But that's to be expected, making choices that are either progressive or different than what your family has had in mind for you is really uncomfortable.
Sure. Yeah. And they want to control those choices. Like we talked about it in the earlier version of this that shit the bed. About how, like, I watched this again today, and the question I kept asking myself in all of this nonsense was, what does everybody want?
Yeah.
Right? Through all of this. Like, Cindy says, I just want my family back together. Brandon just wants to be left out of it, but he's not allowed to. He keeps getting pulled back in they pulled me back in. Brenda just wants to continue dating Dylan. Dylan just wants to eat this shitty burrito.
Yep.
But he is not allowed. Like, the Walshes just keep showing up at his house. Like, just leave me the fuck alone. Like, this isn't whatever. Not what I want, but here I am. I don't know what Jim wants other than control.
He wants things to go back to the way they were.
Right, but that's him controlling everything.
Well, yeah.
He
wants to go back to the before Brenda and Dylan times.
Yeah, but he was like, even that doesn't make sense, because other than like at the beginning of last summer where Dylan was injured and laying on the couch and making out with Brenda, because he thought that they got pregnant. Like, Jim's been cool with Dylan most of the year. Like, he sort of adjusted. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until the Mexico thing that he lost his shit again. And I don't think Jim doesn't even know what he's mad about anymore.
No.
He's just mad. Like, all the time. He's sleep deprived. He's in a shit mood. And he can't even put his finger, like, he's mad at Dylan, but none of this is Dylan's fault.
No, even though he certainly didn't help matters, but you're right, it's not his fault.
Yeah, but I even feel like Dylan is trying to just survive this bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't ask necessarily for Jim to be his trustee, but here we are. Like, Iris did that.
Yeah.
And he didn't ask for Brenda to lie to them and go to Mexico with him without an ID. He didn't ask for any of that shit. He just wanted to go surfing, see Rosalita and whatnot. Yeah. He didn't want Brenda to move in. And here she is. He doesn't want her vacuuming, just nonstop vacuuming.
No.
Dylan just wants to go to the beach and surf and hang out with Brenda on the beach. That's cool. Let's do that. Let's make out in the showers. Dylan likes that.
Yeah.
None of the rest of this was what he was looking for.
No.
But he just keeps trying to, like, accommodate it. Like, he doesn't want to, like, he's really irritated at Brenda for not turning off the vacuum while he's trying to talk to her, because fuck off, Brenda. That's rude. Like, you see him talking, hit the button. Just hit the button.
I know. I was like, okay, you're being dense. Like,
you really are. You're making him say stuff that you know already. Don't. Don't. Turn the vacuum off. Have a conversation. And then she's like immediately into like homemaker mode of like, oh, where are you going? When are you coming home? Can you bring home this? We need detergent. And like,
why? I had a really hard time accepting that a teenager would so quickly fall into those roles. Like,
agreed.
I don't believe that whatsoever. I feel like they would have been making out more, playing games, just dicking around. And like, when he wants to go do his thing, like, okay, fine, I'll call Donna and Kelly. Like,
yeah. The one thing I will fault Dylan on is you're just gonna leave her there with no call. Nobody walks in LA. I heard a song about it. She's not gonna walk anywhere, especially because I know where that house is, and you're not walking anywhere.
Oh my god!
Like, that's just not. You're not doing it. It's like they're up on a windy hill road. There's no corner store she could walk to.
Wow.
It's dumb. But like, he leaves for the entire day, just leaving this person at his house. See ya. Like, that's a little rude.
Why I don't feel like they really want a relationship. They want the drama. And I don't doubt that they love each other. I just don't think. I think, again, it just feels like they're becoming very toxic for each other.
Yeah, I think that they're kind of incapable of helping each other through real stuff.
I know, and this might be edited out because you don't want to give it away. I know we're thinking of watching Barefoot in the Park with this, but I almost feel like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf might tie in a little better because they're low-key giving hints at like a younger version of the bickering couple in there that's like picking at each other the whole time, and like they're so tired of each other that they just want to make a game out of tormenting the other person. And they're not there yet, but again, there are signs that they want to make it more challenging for themselves than it needs to be.
Yeah. And I think, and we stay out of this shit because it's not as interesting, but I think in real life there was a lot of Luke and Shannon not really getting along at this point, and like just their makeout scenes being like bad breath on purpose, like shit like that, where they were just so tired of each other's bullshit that, or mostly I think are tired of hers, but who knows? I mean,
that's a shame.
Yeah. So I feel like the thing you just said was happening in real life a little bit, like kind of making things harder than they needed to be.
Yeah.
And that impacts storyline. You like now you got to do some stuff. We got to get these people apart from each other. So let's send her to Paris for 3 weeks, or not real Paris. Let's send her to the back lot, and
yeah,
we'll film there and have people speak French. Spoilers: people speak French next episode.
I can't wait.
Oh, it's very exciting.
I'm gonna bust out my French.
I got none. I'm not going to be parley-vooing within a week. Like that just ain't going to be happening.
That's
I'm
fine.
not going to pick it up like Donna did. So, God, I mean, we bouncing all over the place, but here's what I don't understand in Jim's struggle for control. Cindy comes up with this ridiculous plan to bribe Brenda with a trip to Paris to get her some space. And here's the thing about this. It's not a terrible idea to get some space here.
No. Like
let's remove what's causing all of the trouble, which is like let's separate everybody and everybody go take 5. Smoke if you got them. Not a terrible idea, but it does come off the way Brandon takes it, the way I take it, which is this kid has been a total asshole. Like this is all her fault. It's her fault and then Jim's fault for his reaction to it.
Yeah.
And what happens? She gets a free trip to Paris for 6 weeks. Like, congratulations, you acted like an asshole long enough, you got a really nice prize out of it. Like that's a really terrible parenting message. But Cindy's right, they all need a little breather. You know, you need to put some air in this thing. Why does Jim here, because this happens off camera clearly. Cindy says to Jim, I got an idea, Jim. Kelly's not going on this trip, right? So here's what we do. We offer to send Brenda on this trip. That gives them some separation, gives us some space. It's going to help really dial the temperature back down. And we'll get, you know, and even if she didn't go for it, we'll get through this. But I think this will help. And Jim says, that's a really good idea, Cindy. How about if I also blackmail Dylan at the same time? What if I threaten him with the law? Can I do that too? Can we do both of those things? Can that be the whole plan?
I bet she doesn't know.
I don't know, but that's a real fucking stupid plan, Jim.
It is. Yeah, I won't lie. I had mixed feelings about it at the start. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's a real shitty move. He's a promising young man. That's not why.
Right.
You know, but it's a shitty move. Especially when you've been, granted, you haven't been okay with this relationship of late, but, and not that you can't revoke consent to your daughter dating this person,
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to be judged the way women are judged, Jim, then I don't think you should be allowed to revoke consent on this matter.
Right. And even if he did, like, even if they're like, this relationship's got to stop, which the relationship, again, isn't the problem.
It's Brenda.
Right? It's Brenda. Brenda has made some bad choices. That's the problem. Address that. Not this relationship with and Dylan even says, you have a lot of options here. You're just choosing to not acknowledge any of them. And instead you're picking a fight with me.
But I call bullshit when Dylan later on is like, listen, next time you're going to, you need to just talk to me. No, Dylan, because he's tried talking to you and you've been a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. And not for nothing, but if you're hanging this whole trustee thing on the fact that he is, that Dylan is doing things that would put the trust in a bad light, which I don't understand. Why there's PR on this trust, I don't get. Like, but I don't have a trust. Maybe that's how that works, but it seems stupid.
Yeah.
If that's the concern, and the concern that you're hanging all this bullshit on, and you're saying that what he's doing that's so damaging to the reputation of the trust is shacking up with a 17-year-old and potentially committing statutory rape, just charge him with statutory rape.
Yeah.
You're the parent. That's, as the way I understand it, that's how that works. Like, it's the parent of the underage kid who brings the charge against the person who is of age.
Also, good luck doing that in LA.
Well, true. But like, if that's the card you want to play, just play that card. This whole thing is way too complicated.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really overcomplicated situation for you to like use your actual authority as the parent of a minor and not your made up authority as the person over his trust. If that's the bullshit way you want to go here. Again, I feel like talk to your daughter is maybe the move.
It definitely is.
Because he never does. Like, and not only does he not talk to his daughter, he doesn't listen to what other people say when they talk to his daughter. Like, he sends Brandon over there, and Brandon comes back and is like, look, they're kind of at each other's throats a little bit. Dylan is sleeping on the couch. I think if you offer an olive branch here, maybe you get somewhere. And Jim comes out of the bathroom saying, from what you said, we're going to have to get a court injunction or a miracle worker. That's not what he said.
Like,
that's not what just happened.
Jim is wanting to go the antiquated route of like, why would I waste time talking to my daughter, a woman, when I could just lock her up?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and even Cindy's like, I don't know, locking her up might not be the worst idea. Like,
just, and I don't even know. I don't even know if it's worth explaining. No, I'm not going to explain why it is so frustrating and upsetting that more than one adult on this show has expressed it would be so much easier to just lock my female child up than talk to her, than deal with her. Like, this is why we have problems.
It's one of the reasons.
One of many reasons we have problems. If you don't know how to fucking talk to your child or communicate, don't have children.
I don't know, but they're so cute when they're born. They make you throw away all of your plans.
You know what else is cute when it's born and all throughout the rest of its life? A pet.
Oh, there you go. Get a puppy.
The worst thing Ember has ever done is eat my pizza, and you know what happened the next day? She threw it up. Justice.
But she didn't care either. Because when dogs puke... Now, dogs puke and they're just like, all right, I'm going to go shit somewhere now.
At me? Like, Mom, how could you let me eat that pizza? It's like, I didn't. You were the one who creatively figured out how to get on the counter and eat it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was stupid enough to leave the room.
And you know what you didn't do? Send her to Paris as punishment.
No! That would be awful. Then I don't get to be with her.
That's right. Yeah. But she would, find herself potentially.
The moral of the story is be a miserable, childless pet person.
There you go. Yeah, be a cat lady. Cat lady's all right.
Yeah.
The cat will eat your face. I would be careful with the cat. But
fine.
To each his own. Or whatever. You can let the cat eat your face. You can sleep with Color Me Bad. You can not sleep with Color Me Bad. To each their own.
Yeah. Oh.
That's where we come down on this. I brought it back.
I know.
All right. So what is something you think this episode might really be about? Because I have at least one other thing.
I think I touched on it, but I want to dive into it further. Just, the idea of do we stick with our current pattern, or do we move towards the future? Because, Kelly's kind of in this pattern of, chasing Jake, but she also might go to Paris. And then, Kelly, I would say, is the one who wants to do things that are very like city girl, Beverly Hills and all that. And then she holds this baby and realizes, maybe there's something to be said for the simple things in life.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. There are better words for it, but just go with it. Don't read it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Donna is terrified of going on this trip, of packing,
of flying,
everything. She could just stay home and have a nice summer with David.
Right. Now that her parents aren't fighting with each other, it seems a little calmer.
Sure.
The living room, but whatever.
Again, sure.
Felice getting raw dogged in the living room. Not exactly what you expect to. No, it's probably not the. Nope. But now you have an image. Now I gotta
watch decent porn to get that out of my head.
We're seeing some decent people.
Oh my God. I've lost my whole train of thought.
All right, so you were gonna watch some decent porn after I mentioned Fleece and
to get that out of my head.
Yeah. Did I mention Felice and Jim raw dogging in the living room? Did I mention that? I feel like I might have said that. I know.
More bricks.
So you were talking about the road less traveled.
Yeah, and I feel like, I also discussed it more with like Brenda earlier. She's clearly at odds with like what she wants to do, while also feeling a little stressed about it. So reverting back to, gender roles, things that that she's seen her mom do. And now when she's given the option of Paris, it's, well, do I go on this amazing trip of a lifetime, into the future, into the unknown, or do I stay with Dylan and keep trying to make a point?
Right. Yeah. Do I stay in the same broken pattern, or do I do something different?
Yeah. And I feel like I'm sure I could make an argument that the guys are going through something, but they're really not. Like, there's no internal conflict for any of these dudes. Maybe Jim, but so it's interesting that it's all the women dealing with these internal conflicts of like, do I stay the same or do I move forward?
I mean, I think Dylan is having that same kind of thing. Like, do I continue this repeated pattern of fighting with the Walshes over Brenda? Or is there a way out for me? And I don't think he sees one until they're like, what if we sent her to Paris? And he's like, fuck, yes. Can you do that? Can you send this girl to Paris?
You and send her to Paris.
Well, right. But to Dylan's point, if honest to God, if they had just brought this up as an idea, he would have jumped at it without the blackmail.
He would have.
he was so tired of having a live-in girlfriend
Yeah.
who was just insistent on vacuuming and making demands about the groceries. Although, in her defense, Dylan is a shitty roommate. Like, I'm just leaving. See ya. Might be back. I don't know.
All of her needs are valid. As someone
Yeah.
who needs a clean, organized space
Uh-huh.
to feel better about the shit that is her life, valid. As someone
Or
who
even
needs acknowledgement, or just like, hey, when you coming home? Because I want to make you dinner. Valid.
right. Or even just the like she's right to be pissed at him when he comes home with a shit burrito and no laundry detergent. Like, he didn't even bring her anything. He brought her a shit burrito, I guess. But like, just because she says get what you want, that doesn't mean ignore the fact that I will hate it.
Is there really such a thing as a shit burrito, though?
I mean,
It's a burrito.
it is
Like,
a burrito. I
you
think there are ways to make abominations out of burritos, but
sure, but I feel like if you have a burrito, you're already doing pretty well in life. You know,
yeah,
can the
it's better
burrito
than
be?
being an Olympic ice skater. I mean,
Yeah,
apparently it's the one thing you can't have if you're going to be an Olympic ice skater. But like, if you live with someone, roommate, girlfriend, boyfriend, spouse, whatever the dynamic is, if you say I'll stop and pick up dinner and laundry detergent, and you don't do that, that's you being an asshole. That's you being a bad roommate. Now, things come up. Sometimes you forget, oh, I forgot. Shit, I'm sorry.
yeah,
But like, she didn't make dinner because you said you were going to bring it and you didn't.
yeah.
She didn't go get the detergent because you said you were going to do it and you didn't. And like, so Dylan's not helping himself here, but he doesn't want what he's got right now. This situation is not to his liking. And so if Jim had just said, we have this idea, we want to offer her Kelly's spot to Paris because we think that we all just need a cooling down period.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't an effort to stop you from seeing her. This is just like, clearly this isn't working. As Cindy says to Brandon, something's got to give. So Dylan would have said, that's a really good idea, Jimbo. Let's talk to Brenda. Instead, he comes with this heavy-handed nonsense and this threats, and it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But like, this gives Dylan an out. It gives him a new path that he didn't have before. So I think you're right that like the women are fighting this internal struggle of like how to get out of or change their patterns and choose something different that's maybe a little scarier.
Yeah.
You know, like, Kelly is so locked up. Should we talk about Jake at all? I mean, I don't want to talk about Jake very much.
Other than that addition to Melrose Place is stupid and pointless. Like,
It is.
I don't ship them, as the youths say. Or used to say.
Does.
I don't see the point in it other than we really want to get the 90210 crowd to watch this.
Yes, that's the
It's
point.
just stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Pointless.
And she's acting like a different person. Like,
yeah.
When she's over on Melrose, she's like, hey, what's her name? Sandy, who works at the bar at Shooters.
Yeah.
She's like, Jackie had the baby. And Sandy's like, who the fuck's Jackie? Like, I don't know who this person is. Why are you telling me this? And so like that, like she carries that piece of information forward, but she's acting like a different person. And she's
I think we're supposed to see, I think that's a way for us to see that that they're not good for each other, because sometimes you fall for people who bring out a different side of you, and the side that may not be who you are or true to who you are. And I think we're supposed to, I mean, one, they're not going to do a cross show relationship. Please don't, no one ever. confusing. But yeah, it's just not good writing.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, and you're right. Like, the whole point is, let's get those 90210 eyeballs over here onto Melrose. Like, that's what it is. And if it takes Steve and Donna and David showing up for reasons, then I guess we're going to do that. I mean, good for the 4 of them getting an extra paycheck, I guess.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, cash that check, kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's purely a tactic, and it's just like, well, we're not really going to have them together, so why waste time making this into more than it needs to be? Who cares if this really sounds like Kelly? We just need her to realize that Jake is not the one for her.
Right. It just bugs me that, like, when she's like when she's around, when she's in 90210 and she's with Jackie and the baby and Donna, and like, she is not acting like there's this other fucking thing happening in her life where she's bailing this dude out of jail. Yeah. Like, it's one thing not to, like, tell people about it, like, because you just don't want to get into it, but it will impact your mood and the way you're acting. Yeah. Right? That, like, you're spending half of your time dealing with a guy who, like, is so broke, he needs you to bail him out of jail, but gets mad at you when you do. Like, yeah. Like, this guy's getting in fights at the unemployment office. And you're just like, Jackie, you have a baby. Is that your tit? Like, there's just no
crazy, no consistency. Connection. No,
yeah, it makes me a little nuts, and it's like, it makes all of this, like, it makes everything Kelly does so much more confusing. Because if you don't watch the Melrose stuff, then what she does with the, like, giving up the Paris trip and, wanting to spend time with the baby is fine. It's overwritten a little bit. Like, she's just expressing these big, now I finally feel like part of a family. People don't really talk like that.
No.
Not when they're 17. I mean,
also gross to imply that what her and Jackie have had is less than familiar.
Well, it is, because Jackie's been in and out of rehab Kelly's whole life, and there's been like 9 dads in there or whatever. I mean, it's been a mess.
Like, even the nuclear looking families are imperfect. Like, that's why, thankfully, we've been coming up with different definitions of family and, like, chosen family, because,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I get Kelly saying, like, finding comfort in stability.
Yes.
Like, and if she had found a way to express that in a way that was, like, that didn't seem like a 30-year-old explaining it to a 17-year-old, I think I would have dug that a little bit more. It just, she just didn't vocalize what she was going through and why she was making the choices all that well. Yeah. But she makes a reasonable decision.
Yeah.
Which makes her, like, one of the only people in this episode who does. Because I feel like this episode is really about people making indefensible decisions.
Okay.
Like, just constantly.
Yeah.
Like, the old switcheroo, no defense.
No.
Although I will say I enjoy the fact that they call it the switcheroo like 4 different times.
Yeah.
Like, just coin the phrase, the switcheroo. There's no justification for this decision that Steve is making, and everyone keeps trying to talk him out of it, and he keeps doing it anyway. And of course, it goes badly.
Thankfully, it goes badly.
Right. Yeah.
There's no reason for Brandon to be chewing gum that much or the way he does.
I didn't even notice the gum chewing, but I did notice the New York accent that he tries to use a number of times.
It's such overacting. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know why you want to piss off the hand that's feeding you right now.
Right.
You're a dick.
Yeah. Yeah. So quit chewing gum, Brandon.
Ugh.
So Brenda making the decision to just become a 1950s housewife, indefensible.
Yeah.
Move in with your boyfriend and just make out a bunch.
Right?
Go fuck. It's fine. It's so much more normal than what you're doing right now, which is just vacuuming the shit out of the only rug in the house.
Yeah, even the one scene where they
Ridiculous.
finally do make out and shit, it was super weird how they just decided to throw stuff, and I'm like, well, that's what you should have been doing this whole time, but like, you know,
Right.
um, IC hat on, make it make sense.
Yeah. It's very much an odd couple thing. It's the one fastidious one and the one messy one, and you gotta, whatever. You know what it reminded me of? This is such a weird thing. There's an episode of Cheers, relatively late in the run, where Frasier and Lilith are trying to get pregnant, and it's not working. And so they're looking for advice, and so they seek out other psychiatrists to talk to, friends of theirs, and so the person that Frasier goes and talks to tells him that this is not just about sex for Lilith. This is about creating life. So you need to treat it as such, and like try to make her feel like you're with her, and like that it has to be that it's this pure act. And the person Lilith talks to says Frasier likes it dirty, and that's why he can't like. And so they're coming at this from cross purposes. Like every time she tries to make it nasty, he's trying to make it clean, and it's like it's very funny in the way that they bounce back off and forth off of each other. Same thing with Brenda and Dylan.
Yeah.
Like he just really needed to like just have some magazines on the but Brenda kept cleaning it up, which was just harsh in his buzz. But so they're working it different from different points of view, which is just not working for them. She's hacking up her head.
I know.
There.
This is what I get for feeding her on time.
Oh yeah, you don't feed your pets. That's the rules.
Not when you're recording.
No, it's true. Indefensible decision. The trust blackmail. What the fuck, Jim?
Fuck off, Jim.
That's there is no way to make that a good idea. All you're doing is antagonizing people, and again, it's not really Dylan you're mad at.
Yeah.
It's
because Brenda's going to find out.
Uh-huh.
And you will be in a shitstorm.
Yeah, there's no way this goes well for you. A stupid idea, indefensible decision.
You're going to be running away to Paris.
Yes. Yeah. Bribing your child with a trip to France is an indefensible decision.
Yeah.
Like granted, you have put yourself in this position, and maybe you got to come up with no, dig up, stupid. Like, you're in a deep, deep hole, so keep digging. Like, just dig a different direction.
Yeah.
So that just indefensible decisions left and right. And again, Steve with the switcheroo.
Disgusting.
He's such a. I don't get Steve's approach to women, because when he first meets Rory, well, that's facts. When he first meets Rory, he is like charming, know. Okay. Like he's got a little bit of a patter. He tries to help her with her broken thing, and he's like, the best spot on the beach is up here because it's next to me. Like that's fine. Like
not the worst. Come on.
No, that's cute enough, and it works. And she's excited. She's happy to go out on a date with him. Oh, but then like when it seems like they've fallen for the same girl, he immediately is like, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
and he goes from fuck off to
Hey.
I had a bad date. Yeah, let me try to, and then like I had a bad date, so let's do the old switcheroo. Oh yeah. And that's one last little thing that this episode is about, is Steve versus Brandon for the chicks.
Oh, God.
Which I'm not saying is going to come up again this season, but it's probably going to come up again this season.
What a low bar.
I know. So,
well, Brandon's cuter, so I guess.
I don't know. Steve's shirtless more. I mean,
he might yell at me, but
I'm definitely going to yell at you. And you're not going to get to see his nipples nearly as much as Steve's, which I know. So, I don't know. But you know, the Euphoria guy nipple shirt, like, you know, we're a free the nipple podcast over here.
We are,
especially for the dudes. And Jackie, by the way, nursing, completely covered up.
I was gonna say she was not nursing. You know, like the head was there. She might have been trying, but like you could see even from the angle where they were like trying to make it look like maybe. No, you could see fabric covering.
Yeah, she's fully clothed, and then she's like, I'm nursing. Here's the baby. Go ahead and hold her. That's not how that works.
No.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, even if it's not working, you've probably got a slightly cranky baby there.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know. That just that's a whole thing. Do you have anything else? Anything more along the path not taken, or different things this episode might really have been about? Because we took a long and winding road today.
Dylan loves girls in red dresses.
Who doesn't?
Well, in my favorite things, it's girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes. So clearly Rodgers and Hammerstein have a different idea.
Yeah, but you know who was singing that song? A nun. Here's what she likes.
Wow.
She can't act on it anyway. I mean, she can, just remember Kurt's name, for God's sake.
Oh,
that's really all I care about.
God bless Kurt.
God bless Kurt. Which is what I say literally anytime I remember something I was trying to remember.
I love that line.
I do it all the time. If I'm trying to think of something and then I'm like, fuck, what is it? Oh yes, God bless Kurt.
Yeah.
I do all the time. All right. So what did this episode make you nostalgic for?
I don't know, because I feel like I mentioned this already, but I was lucky enough to have okay, so one of the opportunities I was given to travel abroad was I was a really good French student in high school. So there was a study abroad program and you had to take an exam. For some reason, we had to go to Bloomington. Well, darn, love Bloomington.
Right.
We had to go to Bloomington, my other classmate and I, to take this exam and to see if we qualified. And we both got in, and my parents said no.
Oh.
So it would have been incredible. It would have been 6 weeks away. I mean, 1+.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
6 weeks away in France. Living with another family, kind of doing an exchange student thing.
Gotcha.
And I didn't get to go, but that's okay because I got to go on a European tour later on.
Is it now, in retrospect, do you think if you had first tried to go to Mexico without their permission, you would have then been allowed to go to France?
My ashes might have gone to France. Because there's no way I was going to survive.
Okay.
It was either, well, I guess I live in Mexico now and I'm starting a life abroad, or they pick me up, kill me, cremate me, because that's the kind of family we are. The cremating part, not the killing part.
Wait, you cremate before you kill? That's fucked up.
No, we all want to be cremated. Well, I don't know about my sister, but I know my parents and I want to be cremated because,
Yep.
Fuck the price of funerals.
Racket. as previously discussed.
So yeah, my ashes once thrown to the wind might have landed. Might have landed.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I think I feel bad that you didn't have the knowledge to give that a consideration first. Because if you had seen how this worked out for Brenda, then maybe you would have been like, all right, maybe I don't have to do the Mexico part. Maybe I can just move in with my boyfriend without permission.
The one boyfriend that I had, really, he wouldn't have had the money to take us to Mexico, and also it would have been my car, so then I would have been accused of theft. Like, it would have been a whole new, sadder Bonnie and Clyde situation.
Yeah. No good. All right. Well, probably for the best then that you didn't try the Brenda method.
Probably.
Yeah.
Less exciting, for sure.
Well, that's true. That's true. You didn't get to meet Rosalita, so.
No, I didn't.
I know. This was hard for me nostalgia-wise until I heard Donna use the word nostalgia.
Oh.
When they are potentially eating her very last farewell to the beach club burger.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, when one of the times when she's lamenting. Like, that's all Donna does in this episode is lament.
Did you note all the sunflower dresses? Or daisy dresses? There were a lot.
Dresses. Yeah. It's fashionable. I think there's going to be more of that shit. I think Donna wears a lot of daisies.
And I wonder if that's just
sunflowers. Tori
loves those flowers, or if that's a purity thing.
Maybe. Oh, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting. So I'm just nostalgic from my very last farewell to the beach club burger. That's all.
That's fair.
I don't have one of those, like, oh, this is the last time I'm ever going to get to eat this. In part because the Irish Lion closed the day before I could make it down there for my final meal, which I would have been very happy about.
Yep.
But, things we don't get sometimes. It's very sad. All right. Who is your Steve Sanders Memorial worst person of the episode, Jim Walsh?
So it's worth noting, I made a tally.
Okay.
And the way I started it was writing out, and I did this the second viewing. So I wrote down characters that I knew had annoyed me in this episode, which were Dylan, Brenda, Brandon, Steve, Jim, and Cindy. And granted, I have a choice, but I do think it's worth noting it ended in a tie between Brenda, Steve, and Jim on who pissed me off the most.
Yeah, I get that.
And I think it's fair that they all tied. Okay. But for the sake of what I cannot let abide, all
three of them. I mean,
I could.
If you want.
Could. But I can't forgive Steve for being disgusting.
Oh, so Steve gets the award this week. All right.
He gets it just for being a pig. Like,
yeah, he's super gross.
Brenda will hopefully change and learn. Maybe not this season, but at some point. And also, like, again, I have trouble with not liking Brenda because I feel like I feel like they're trying to get us to not like her, and I don't like that. No. Jim, I don't know. Something isn't allowing me. Maybe again, it's the brunette thing. I don't want to hate on brunettes, but Steve, you're just gross and you're not going to change. I have no faith or hope for you.
Yeah, that's fair. That is a fair answer. Steve is super nasty gross in this episode. You dumb guy. Did he not think that telling Rory's twin sister that Rory was boring would, like, offend the sister? Like, you're talking about my twin sister.
Like, you think you're that good looking to tempt a woman into betraying her sister?
Right. Yeah. And I bet you Brandon got some because he realized that it was Claire.
I mean, one, he realized which twin it was.
Yeah.
So amazing. They do that shit on The Bachelor or Bachelorette whenever there's a twin, and I'm like, that's rude. That's not fair. They've known each other for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Steve. Fuck you, Steve.
Good deal. For me, it's Jim.
Fair.
I mean, because like I was already irritated at Jim for the way he's handled this thing the whole time. So I was already annoyed at Jim for how he has handled this from the beginning. And so I blame him for it getting to the point of bribing her with Paris, even though that's Cindy's idea. But the trust blackmail is so ridiculous. It's so over the top. It's unnecessary. It's unhelpful. It's indefensible. And it doesn't get him. There's no circumstance where that gets him what he wants.
Yeah.
It just causes different problems. It's ridiculous.
Not going to end well. Like, have we not learned that you can't tell these kids anything? Like the moment he said, I want to thank you for not telling her that. Like, I appreciate it. Like, oh, well, it's going to come out somehow.
Yeah. Did you watch The Good Place?
No, not yet.
Oh my God. So Jason Mendoza is amazing. And at one point says, when I have a problem, I just throw a Molotov cocktail at it. And then I have a different problem. And that's what Jim's doing. Jim's like, whenever I got a problem, I just threaten to throw Dylan in prison or whatever. And then I have a different problem. Like,
because I couldn't lock up my daughter, but I can lock up this 18-year-old.
Yeah, I haven't fixed my original problem. I just now have a different one I have to deal with.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on with this nonsense. So, all right. Did we do it?
Oh my God, I think we finally did.
This was not quite Blades of Glory level difficult, but it was difficult. But we got there in the end. So
there were some tears. It's fine.
It's fine. We're good. All right. So join us on Friday, Cheese Meisters, when I'm pretty sure that we're going to watch Barefoot in the Park, because people move in together.
And they fight.
They do. And that movie is funny, as I recall. So it's Neil Simon. So it's good stuff. And then next week, when we watch season 3, episode 3, Too Little Too Late / Paris 75001. Yep, we're going to France, boys and girls.
I mean, I'm excited to see how they show France. We are, past the Paris Olympics. Wow, the synchronicity of us and the real world is amazing.
Here's what's even better. They're going to France, and in the next 3 episodes, there is beach volleyball.
Wow.
Which they did in the Olympics in front of the Eiffel
Is
Tower.
there breakdancing?
Not yet. And it's not, what David does isn't really breakdancing.
Well, neither was what happened, apparently.
But breakdancing adjacent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, there's all sorts of fun things happening in Paris. Man, some dopey ass shit happens in this show coming up.
Great.
Yeah. This is oh man, I can't. There's so many things I just can't wait for you to know about. And so you will get to know about them soon, and that's all very exciting for me. So,
yay!
Until then, Cheese Meisters.
Bye.
Bye.